and welcome back to the Cultura Anime blog. Ladies and gentlemen, we have word that Pamela Anderson went on a secret date with Julian Assange. Oh, nobody cares? Nope, nobody cares? No, nobody? That's right, nobody cares, but it is true, just last week Pamela Anderson apparently had a secret meeting with Julian Assange. But why isn't that story more interesting? I mean, just a few years ago, in 2010, Julian Assange's name was everywhere. But since 2010, Assange has been on asylum, which pretty much means he's locked himself in a hotel room. He has moved from country to country, but he has been in hiding the entire time so that he doesn't have to go to Sweden and face some criminal charges. So for the past 3 years or so, the public has been pretty much totally uninterested in Julian Assange. Because he's not really doing anything. He's just hiding out and making his own sort of online TV show. But he was a really big deal for a while there. But why is that? Well, we were kind of obsessed with Julian Assange as a public because we associate ideas with people, which makes sense because we ourselves are people, and if you look at the media, we tend to like to anthropomorphize things a lot. It entertains us, and it allows us to relate to characters more quickly. So just like we anthropomorphize animals, meaning to make them human, we also anthropomorphize ideas. Whether or not Julian Assange is a patriot, a hero, a traitor, is one matter. What is certain is that he's the figurehead for a controversial organization. So, of course, he himself ends up being controversial. Assange, in fact, calls himself the lightning rod of the organization, WikiLeaks. So that means he's the one that takes all the heat, but also all of the praise. And you don't have to watch footage of Julian Assange for too long before you start to realize that he really likes himself, and he likes to hear himself talk. Now, I don't believe that when Julian Assange and his team started WikiLeaks, that it was Assange's goal to become famous, this icon. But when it started happening, he certainly embraced it. In the documentary We Steal Secrets, you see footage of Assange as he has these 3 newspapers laid out in front of him. All of them have him on the cover. And he looks at these and he says, "I'm untouchable." Untouchable. That's some ego right there. And come on. The guy is going to be in a fashion show in Ecuador this month. Oh, and you can also have lunch with him if you pay $50,000, so that's a thing. Assange's love for the spotlight is one aspect of what made him such a huge focus in the media. After all, he himself stoked that media fire in a couple of ways. And the organization, WikiLeaks, that Assange happens to be a lightning rod for, is a very interesting organization in the first place. No matter where you stand ethically on the matter of releasing thousands of confidential files, it's still an interesting story. But I gotta be honest with you for a second. For me, it's really hard to hate Assange for what he did. The way I see it, if the government has this information that's hiding what really goes on during wartime, and that information, often in video form, will shift people's view of war from the glorified version of what it is to a more accurate version, well, I support it. And yes, there's other data in the leaks that could supposedly harm people, but the military itself did admit that the largest leak of over 90,000 documents, thanks to Chelsea Manning, didn't actually cause any deaths by the enemy as of 2013. In the documentary We Steal Secrets, there is mention that some of these documents may contain information on how to poison a town's whole water supply. So yeah, that could hurt some people. But excuse me if you don't mind me asking, why does the government have that information in the first place? Why do you need that? If the government is obtaining information that could be harmful to the public, perhaps that's a huge red flag that you shouldn't be obtaining that information in the first place. Clearly, I have an opinion, and so do many people. Which is why WikiLeaks and its poster boy, Assange, received so much media attention around the time of the leaks. Assange has been in asylum in Ecuador for the past couple of years, but in August, he just announced that he's going to be leaving very soon. So perhaps we'll get a revamp of his story when he leaves, but until then, we're just gonna have to keep wondering what it would be like for Pamela Anderson and Julian Assange to have a conversation. Thank you so much for joining me again, and I will see you next week.